fine. Molly calls me old all the time.
But
It wasn't effectively an ad I saw. Basically, I saw quite a lot of people walking around London with the backpacks, the sort of like army-style backpacks.
Yes.
And I always thought, it's a really cool backpack, I really like that. And then I thought this for months and months and months, never did anything about it. And then I randomly started sort of trying to find it. And obviously on the website, they're more affiliated with High Rocks now, but they were more affiliated with CrossFit at the time when I found it. Yeah, the Built for Athletes backpack. So I was like, oh, you know what, I like it. I wanted a bag for sort of like walking holidays and stuff like that. I was like, it's perfect. Bought that, kept getting emails from them about CrossFit stuff, and then thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. I'll do a little bit more research following that. And that's when I decided to sort of get in touch, because it was through there that I followed the CrossFit website that I then found this gym.
Did you just literally go on a CrossFit website? It was like, nearest CrossFit gym?
Basically, yeah. And this one came up and Tiger Pit came up. And I thought, well, and then the one in Bromley, I don't know what that one's called, that one. They all came up and I thought, well, I'm living this way. I used to play rugby just stuff at Alpington Rugby Ground, so I thought I'll pop down here and see what it's like, and then got in contact with you guys.
That's quite cool. So literally from a backpack.
Literally from seeing people walk around with a backpack, I thought it looked cool.
Did you see the patches as well on the backpack?
Yeah, exactly. So I saw the patches. None of them had the brand. None of them had the Built for Athletes brand. They'd all taken that one off. So I was just seeing a backpack with patches for all sorts of stuff, and no way of knowing what this thing was. So I kept googling random things like miniature style backpacks and like all this sort of stuff, and then found it. I was like, that's the one. I struggled to keep my rugby consistent. Basically since I left school, really. I'd sort of played at various teams. I was in and out of training. I always struggled to go week in, week out, and then play week in, week out. I absolutely loved it when I did, but getting home from work, having that motivation to get dressed, head back out. It might be pouring with rain, it might be muddy, it might be freezing cold, and when I got there, I'd have a great time. Absolutely loved it. Still do love rugby, but it was so easy to just not do that after a long day of work. I played around a few different teams, and then I found a good excuse to stop when I was doing my uni degree, because it was sort of like, well, I need to spend my evenings focusing on this, so it was a nice excuse to play a lot more casually, basically. And then I finished my uni degree at the same time that COVID was just opening back up in the summer of 2020, and I was then living in Beckenham, so I thought, you know what, I'll go back down there. Really loved it, a really good club culture. It got me back into rugby. I was then consistent there for a couple of years, and then again just sort of started to drift off. My work got more serious. I was, getting promoted and whatnot, and I was spending a lot more time at the office, and then thought, well, it's the rugby that's going to be taking a hit. So I was trying to find something that worked a bit more long term and worked around my sort of work life, my personal life, and realised it's the evenings that I sort of hated losing. Training twice a week, it kills it. Then you've got a Thursday or a Friday out with work for either just general socialising or work socialising as part of your job. And then, sort of when I found CrossFit and realised I could do this in the mornings, get it out of the way, and then go to work, it kind of works really, really nicely for me, which is why I thought give it a whirl. When I came into it, I kind of just wanted to get back into a bit of exercise, because obviously falling off the rugby meant I was not really doing anything. I never really was good at consistently going to a gym on my own and just doing your bicep curls and your shoulder press and your bench press. Like, I just got bored of it really, really quickly. My original plan was to stick with the twice a week, do part run on a Saturday, and I was like, that's 3 times a week, doing some sort of exercise. That's enough. It means I won't get particularly fat. I can afford to drink and eat kind of more like what I want, with a bit of exercise around it. And then just as I enjoyed it and found myself improving, found myself wanting to do more and more of it. The first part is definitely there are a lot. I think when you walk in your first week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and you read the board and it's, well, that adds up to 100 burpees, or that adds up to 100 pull-ups, or oh, I'm supposed to be lifting 100 kgs in this lift that I've never done before. It can be a little bit daunting, and I always felt like I had a decent base level of fitness, and after doing the onboarding I thought, yeah, I'm not where I thought I was, but I'm not that far off. And then I did my first proper class, and my God, was I far off where I thought I was. I think one of the things I find motivating about it is how quickly I sort of saw improvements with it. Very, very quickly I moved from basically having to scale every single workout to at least doing intermediates. coming into this, from sort of a rugby background and a bit of running here and there and whatnot, I'd never done gymnastic stuff. I'd never done Olympic weightlifting stuff. So all of that was new, which meant I saw a lot of quick progression in those areas. There was a period of time where with the Olympic lifting, it was a PB every week because it was genuinely new, which meant, or it was you say, what's your 1 rep max on this? Don't have a clue. Never done this before, so let's go and find out what it is. And that sense of achievement, quite regularly ticking things off, going, well, now I've got a new snatch PB or a new clean PB or whatever is something that really is quite motivating. And because it's also new, it means a lot of those happen quite quickly, which is, gives you that good feeling, that warm fuzzy feeling inside. Exactly. I think that's one of the benefits of the variety of it. I think it means that you're not getting a new deadlift PB every week or every month, but every couple of months something is probably becoming a PB or improving or something in some form. If you haven't had a new snatch PB for 6 months, that might be because your gymnastics is doing suddenly loads better. You've now got butterfly pull-ups or toes to bar or something like that. That's still a big sense of achievement and a big step up. Whereas, if you're only ever focusing on just one thing, like just Olympic lifting or just running or whatever, those wins come few and far between. Yeah, well, I suppose some of them just sort of mentioned there being, just powering through, learning new skills, powering through sort of PBs on things I've never done before. I think, some of the demonstrations of that sort of improvement would be, I remember the first time, when we did Murph, which was in the first couple of months of me joining, and I was doing the jumping box pull-ups, and I was like, what the hell is this? And I always thought I had moderate skills with things like pull-ups, to having to do box jump pull-ups because I just couldn't physically do it. Whereas now I'm starting to very shakily get butterflies, even if they look dreadful, they count. It's things like that, and gymnastics. I did a tiny bit of gymnastics at school, the same as everyone does, but intermittently I can do a couple of meters handstand walking, and that was something I'd never think I'd be able to do, full stop. Not that I'm that old, but especially at 29, like learning a new skill like that is quite different. So I think there's things like that are just skills I've never had before that I'm starting to develop. And as I said, the Olympic lifting, never done any of those movements before, so starting to see my progression with that, just learning the form of new movements and feeling quite good being able to lift pretty heavy weights and seeing that progression. And I don't know if it's because of the sports I did growing up, but I always find that I just need to throw myself into these things and give it a shot, because how bad can it be? If I fail a lift, it's probably not going to be that bad. If I fall over doing a handstand, it's probably not that bad. Like, I've been on rugby pitches and been smashed by people literally 2 or 3 times my size and walked away from it. I can probably fall on the floor from a handstand and hopefully be okay. I mean, one day I won't be, but for the time being, yeah, exactly, until that day comes. So physical changes, obviously it's one of the most consistent sort of training routines, regimes, whatever, that I've had for quite a long time. So I've seen myself get a lot bigger than I've ever been, fitter than I've ever been. My running's taken a massive hit, but I think that's because I've never been heavier in a good way. So I've seen that's been a big change in me. And also just when other people have noticed it, which is also quite nice. Because it's all well and good, getting quite fit and saying, I can run X, but it's the look as well. It's the nice side effects of a sport like this and a sport like rugby. You do look like you play. This is one of the reasons why I've never really got on with running. I mean, I find running quite boring, but I also find the sort of resulting effect of running not ideal. Like, yes, you can be very, very fit, and yes, you can be very, very healthy, but you kind of look stick thin if you're a really good runner, and that's not what I've ever wanted to look like. Coming from a physical background, from a physical sport, it is about being big, having a bit of strength, having a bit of power about you, and this, I've ended up getting bigger and stronger doing this than I ever did during rugby, which was an unexpected benefit, I suppose. I'd say definitely just sort of give it a shot, because you might find you really enjoy it. And if you are in the process of giving it a shot, I'd say don't pick and choose the workouts you do during a week. Which it's very easy to look at something and go, either A, I can't do this, or B, I hate this movement, so I'm not going to do it. But those are actually the areas where you're going to see the most improvement. I think what I found anyway, if I be very easy to avoid snatches because they're horrible, but also, I've seen massive improvement doing that movement, and, first couple of weeks it'd be so easy when I can pick and choose if I'm only coming twice a week. Oh, well, I like this, I like the running ones, or I like the pull-up ones, and just focus on those things. But it's doing the workouts that you might think you're not going to enjoy that you see the most improvement. And then also sort of lean into it, I suppose. It took me a few months to sort of lean into it a bit more and start to talk to people a bit more and come out my shell a bit more. But one of the benefits of this sort of the class structure is you get to see the same people week in, week out, and that's actually quite nice. I know if I come in for the 5:30, I'm going to recognise most, if not all, the faces because I've worked with them for now the past, nearly a year, and then the same faces for some of that the entire time. Some of them joined in, and since I've joined them, become as regular as I have. And that sort of community side of it is something I didn't really expect from something like this, that I originally kind of viewed essentially as like a glorified spin class that you rock up, you do your workout, and you leave, and that's it. But that's as I say, lean into it a bit more, give it a shot. If it's not for you, it's not for you, but you'd probably be surprised at it. There's going to be things you can enjoy in it, and make the most of that.